the inside scoop with Alex and Jeff.
Welcome, everybody, to another episode of Inside Scoop with Alex and Jeff. I'm Alex Dingman.
I'm Jeff Doss. What's up, guys? It is episode 206. It is the Inside Scoop, and we are excited to join you each and every week. And our episode today is going from good to great. And if you did not know, and hopefully you will, and you do, we are sponsored by the Virtual Fight Tour, and they just came off their latest show talking about the Battle of the Dojos. So we have a couple of videos to just show some pictures and things from the event. What was cool about this event was that they had like a theater and a show for that. So they had seating and everything for the event. So they weren't in the cage at the normal place. So pretty awesome to see all that. They had some break-in demos. They had Anthony Merricks as I guess the guest MC, the host MC. So really cool setup as we're seeing there with the trophies and the different schools going head to head. Pretty awesome stuff there. So as this has happened, we hope to have Jesse on sometime soon to talk about this event and what's next for Virtual Fight Tour. But one of the cool things with this is that they were giving that exposure to those kids, right? To the schools, to the coaches, and really showing them all just what it's like to compete on the stage, but also with that pressure of like being there for your teammates, right? I think that's a very different thing because we don't really have that in our sport. Really, that's not really inherent in what our sport is. Our sport is an individual sport, right? So, okay, well, if I'm down by 6 points, whatever, I'm done. I lost. Okay, no, I need you to keep going. I need you to try to make that gap closer and closer because guess what? If you just give up now, you're not just giving up on yourself, you're giving up on your teammate. And so I think that's a really cool thing to teach these kids at a young age is that teamwork and the pride in your dojo, right?
You said it. So I really like this opportunity for those kids too. If you look back, was it last year? Maybe it was the year before. I can't remember. But we had a few juniors that were in one of the VFT cards. And I'm telling you, I knew it as soon as I saw it. I'm like, these kids are going to be something when they hit adult, and now they are. Their names are blanking, but I can visualize their fighting style, and it's great. So them getting a taste for what it's like on the big stage, that's a big thing. Now, I've been vocal that I'm not a huge proponent for giving underbelts a huge stage.
Right.
But I think this is different. This is vastly different because this is, like you said, this is not an individual event. This is a whole team event here. And I think there's something to be had there. I think it's a big deal. So many of us, when we started martial arts, we started because there's a number of reasons, right? Could be self-defense. Could just be for an extracurricular activity. Could be a buddy of ours, was in karate. But for some of us, like for you and I, when we got started, we probably didn't know anybody who was taking karate when we got started. Right? I think there was 2 kids in my entire school from kindergarten through 6th grade who even took a karate class, right? So like this was definitely different. So doing that, I mean, now there could be a lot of them. So when they get a chance to do something like this, as a team activity, now it solidifies you there. Like this isn't the reason you joined martial arts, but it's certainly what's keeping you there, right?
Correct.
Nobody joins martial arts because they want to be an extreme forms champion. It just doesn't happen.
No.
They end up being an extreme forms champion, and it's phenomenal. And you're like, okay, this is a talent that we may not see for a while. You know, that's great, but that's probably not why you started. So something like this is what keeps you there. And I really love the activity. I do.
Yeah, it's awesome. I love it. So great job to BFT on another successful event. And guys, this weekend, I was at a tournament in Hickory, North Carolina. I've shared about this event before. It's one of my favorite events. There's a lot of breaking. They kick off the show with breaking. This event is always a difficult for me because I bring my students. I usually am the head coordinator of the event, like running
Can I ask you to pause for a second? What was the name of the town?
Hickory, North Carolina.
I feel like they need to give you like a bottle of whiskey when you enter the town with a name like that. Hickory, North Carolina. Okay. All right, continue. I'm sorry.
I'm not doubting. I'm not telling you that they didn't or they haven't. Okay. Listen, there's just something about Hickory, North Carolina. Okay. Like it's like, it's really hard to explain it, but when you get
I didn't mean
to
go that direction, but here we are.
You realize something's different about this town. Okay. And you can tell every single person at the tournament who was from Hickory and who's not. All right. There's a difference in like, oh, they're from North Carolina. Okay. Or whatever. Like North Carolina people are a little different. All right. Just like some of Virginia people are a little different, but people from Hickory, I don't know, man. It's just a different vibe. It's like,
well, wait, what? So now this is clearly not where you were going, but now it's the only thing I can think of.
No.
So how can you pick somebody out who's from Hickory, North Carolina?
So let's just say this. The promoter of this event, Doug Armstrong.
Start like that.
Friend of mine. He has a rat tail. Okay. And he has had a rat tail.
Stop.
He's 60-something. He's almost 60 years old. So he still has his rat tail. And he kicks off the
still.
Have you
ever known him without it?
The only time that he's been without it is because he would have it cut off during his tournament to start the tournament and have whoever he presented the Hall of Fame into his tournament to cut it off. Okay. So this is what I'm saying. All right. This is just a different, right? And
that's a Hickory, North Carolina thing.
They've given this guy the key to the city. Okay. So
he got the key to the city?
Yeah, man. 1 year he got the key to the city, man. So all right. And listen, anytime there's a tournament with breakers being the main focus point, breakers are a little crazy, right? Anybody that loves to just break bricks and break things and do different stuff, they're a little out there, right? So his whole karate school is focused on that. So we're just talking about a whole nother area, right? So I love Hickory, North Carolina. I'm sorry I'm giving you guys a hard time, but
all right. Well, now I got another one.
I've been to this tournament 18 years in a row. Okay. So it's
okay. Before you keep going, how would you pick somebody out who's from Virginia?
That's hard because it depends which. Virginia's a state.
I don't know. You're the one who brought it up.
No, Hickory is a city. All right. That is actually in some ways bigger than Lynchburg. And
all right,
but
let's say Lynchburg.
It's a bigger city, but people are just country. All right. It's just country.
How would you pick someone out from Lynchburg?
Yeah, I don't know. That one's a hard one.
Dude, I can tell you where I'm at in Elgin.
Yeah.
Right away. I'm gonna tell you this. I'm the only non-Latino guy on my street. On my whole street. All right. On one side, well, I take that back. My neighbor, we have like this double wide shared driveways, thing's massive, right? Which is really kind of weird the way it's connected. So me and Christina, all right, and she grew up in Chicago. She grew up in the South Side. So she and I are the only ones that aren't Latino, right?
Right.
So, but her boyfriend, Gary, he's Jamaican. And I don't mean like, oh, like he's got some family. Like he has dual citizenship. It goes back and forth from Jamaica, and he's the
Okay.
funniest because it is. I haven't known that many Jamaican guys that I think about.
Right.
I'm like, man, maybe I haven't known that many Jamaican guys in my life. But it is stereotypical. It's hey man, every time. Hey man, I love it. And I'm like,
Okay.
Gary, sorry. I'm like, Gary, man, you make me want to have a red stripe. He's like, oh yeah, red stripe, refreshing.
I love it. I
I'm like,
love it.
okay, but no, that's what it is, man. On my
Yeah.
street, I tell you what, everybody's Mexican, right? So that's
Okay, so I
easy.
get
That's easy to
certain
pick out.
areas. I got you. I got you. All right. So, anyways, we were at this tournament in North Carolina. Congrats to all the winners. Myself, I won the traditional grand championships. I think this is my 3rd year in a row. This is my 10th grand championship at this event, right? So, and 6 of those years I wasn't allowed to compete because I was a promoter in the same conference. So, I've done pretty well at this event. It's been a good one for me. And
Oh, that kind of makes sense.
so,
I said, I suppose that kind of makes sense.
well, yeah, if you're
You're gonna
competing, if you're a promoter in the league with
Yeah.
it, then you're not necessarily supposed to, you shouldn't really compete, right?
Yeah,
So anyway,
yeah.
so I did that. Jack Sykes, from Revolution, he won the Open Grand Championship. So we had a traditional Grand and have the Open Grand for forms. The Fighting Grand, Jimmy Moore, from South Carolina, won the 35 plus Fighting Grand, and Justice Floyd won the 18 plus men's Fighting Grand. So great job to those guys. Junior Grands, I think, was Sawyer Rice and Laney Pena. So great job to all of them, to all the grand champion winners. And I don't remember the name of the guy that won the breaking grand, but they have a breaking grand championship, a breaking division, and winner gets 500, runner up got 100. So it was a big deal.
So
They
what
had
kind of
8.
breaking was this? Because
It's like
I've
creative
never
breaking,
been
right?
a breaking guy.
Yeah.
Ever.
So creative style breaking. So you have like 3 minutes. You can be as creative as you want. You can put some power break in there. You can put some jump kicks. You can put whatever. A lot of people
Sure.
have a lot of slabs, concrete slabs. Some that they've gotten from Lowe's or Home Depot. Some that they've probably made themselves. Okay.
Get the heck out.
Yeah, there's a lot of that. All right. Then there's,
I think there should be some kind of regulation as to like how this is.
There should be some regulation. Okay. So that's what
And the
makes
same
it
with
hard.
boards.
Right. But a couple of the craziest things I saw was, all right, so a lot of people do like the break where they put the dowel rod on their throat, and then them and their buddy walk forward and it snaps, right? So you put that on so you've never seen that? Okay, that's the thing, right?
Yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about. I'm shaking my head like, nope, not me.
Yeah,
I have
so
no ambition to do anything like that.
right? But one of the guys did it, but he sharpened it. He sharpened the end.
Why?
So
Nobody
it was
could tell except for him.
Well, no, he showed everyone, and he put the point there and then went through and did it, right? So some crazy stuff, right? There was a lot of interesting stuff. I didn't get to watch it as much as possible because I was running the tournament and trying to get more things going. But yes, you can tell when they're breaker. One of the things that you have to do, you have to show a sample of everything that you're breaking. So if you pick up that sample and it just breaks as you do that, well, you realize that whatever they're doing is not really that hard, right? So that's kind of one of the ways that you do have that regulation. So anyways, always a fun event. There's a poker tournament on Friday night. They have a golf tournament on Sunday. Yeah. So always just Doug Armstrong just having some fun. So I know Jack Sykes says this is always his favorite tournament. My students had a good event. It did well. I think this is one of his biggest events he had. And the town of Hickory is just a fun town. So, yeah, like they had 75. They have 75 golfers for the golf tournament on Sunday. So, pretty good.
And they're just their golf tournament. They just hosted a golf tournament.
They hosted, and mostly karate people or people from
And they're
from
relatively local people, I'm assuming.
yeah. Some of the judges stayed to do it, but
see, what I like about that is that it's just something different.
Yeah.
It's something different, and the stakes are low. The requirement is low. Like, it's not like different. Like, hey, guess what? Team fighting starts Thursday afternoon, and then like we're gonna do something different. And then you have all day Friday to relax and prepare for your competition on Saturday. Like, so I have to get here 2 days earlier. Like, this sucks. This is an inconvenience.
Yeah.
It's not cool. But you go to Hickory, North Carolina, and
compete Friday.
You get some on the way in. They hand it to you as you walk in, and then you play poker. What kind of poker? What kind of poker tournament is this?
Texas Hold'em. Yeah.
That's cool, man.
Yeah. So everyone, I don't know how much they put in, but I didn't play this year.
It doesn't. The fighting didn't sound like it was bad either. And you keep going. I got a question about the fighting later.
Yeah. So they had the tournament Friday, and then once we're done, they already had the poker tournament set up and ready for everyone to get to the hotel, to the lobby of the hotel, where they had food for everyone, and whoever wanted to play poker played poker. And that kind of went late though. So that's the only thing. And then that morning they have a Hall of Fame kind of thing, and then they kick off the tournament with the breaking, and then we just kind of go from there, right? So, and then it used to be the tournament this year. It hasn't been sponsored by them in a while, but for a while it was sponsored by Hooters. Okay. And so every time that you had the grand championship presentation, you had it presented by the Hooters girls. So that was always funny. And then everyone went to Hooters for the after party. That didn't happen this year. And then Sunday there is the golf tournament. So I haven't been to the golf tournament. I don't play golf. So, but yeah.
I feel like you'd be okay.
No.
You'd probably be okay.
I don't think so. The last couple of times I've played golf hasn't turned out well.
Actually, you know what? No, actually, you probably would not be. The reason why is you're too much of a perfectionist. You would not be good at golf. You would lose your mind. Because golf is an imperfect sport. But hey, I had this thought. A couple weeks ago. How did Justice Floyd look?
So Justice looked really good. One of the fights that stood out to me was him and Jared Presley. Do you remember Jared Presley? Jared Presley? Yes, he was a student of Cass Sigmund's. All right. He actually was originally.
Yes, I do know who you're talking about.
Originally, he was a student of Corky Sykes when he lived in Georgia. Was a forums and fighter champion on the NBL.
Yeah, I'm actually impressed that I know who you're talking about.
Moved to North Carolina and started training under Cass and became a champion in NBL as well. We saw him many times fight in NASCA. He is coming back, right? He's trying to get back to that point, right? And he looked really good against Justice. So that was a great fight. Ended up, I think 6-4 was the final with Justice winning that. But man, overall, that was a great fight for the overall championship. I think Justice might have had one more fight from there, but I don't remember. But to me, that was the fight of the weekend.
What does Presley weigh?
Presley's heavier. He's probably
so he's like a middleweight or a light heavyweight.
He might be light heavyweight, yeah. And but here's the deal: both of them ended up with blood. Like both of them ended up with fight bleeding. Okay, Justice's nose has like scraped all the way down here. Jared had a cut here and a cut here. I mean, it was intense. All right. So
yeah, Justice. You know what I think Justice is kind of like? I mean, he hasn't reached the ceiling of these two guys, but he kind of reminds me of like a hybrid between Alex Lane and Preston Clemens. His high has not come close to those guys' highs, because we're talking about those two are two of the best fighters and kickers that there've ever been, which is clearly what Justice is. But here was a thought I had about Justice.
Here's
I think
the thing
Justice
to say. Yeah, go ahead.
I don't think Justice is fighting in the right weight division. I think sometimes guys want to fight in a lower weight division because it gives them a better opportunity. Because Justice is like 16'11", right?
Yeah.
So I actually feel like he's cutting weight and putting himself in harm's way. I mean, he just won the division. He just won. So I mean, what am I saying? But I'm talking about on the biggest stage. I really had this thought about him, and I
think he should be
just so random.
So you think he should be a middle instead of a light middle?
Maybe a light heavy.
Huh. Okay. He possibly could. I mean, you look at his dad.
Here's my
dad's always been.
Here's my argument for this. Okay, Justice has probably been the best kicker of anyone he's fought, right? So that's something he could always hang his hat on. Be like,
in his division
of people that he fights when he's in competition. Most of the time, when he lines up across and he bows between he and the other guy, he's the better kicker. Most of the time. Okay. I don't know if he's ever not been. I'm just gonna say it can't be 100%. Right? But let's just say most of the time that's the case. I think guys in the lighter weight divisions, they're used to that. I think when you go up to light heavyweight, which I think just metabolism's gonna get him there, right?
Oh yeah.
Right? I mean, the guy's he's taller than everybody in the tournament.
Yeah.
And he's biting the light middle. He's biting light middle.
I'm gonna tell you something that's keeping him light. But I'm gonna tell you something that's keeping him there. And this is something that people forget, and they don't see that about Justice on the national circuit, but we see it on the regional circuit. Justice does every division. He does traditional forms. He does musical forms. This kid can jump. He can do a great creative form. He can do a really solid. I would love him to compete more in Korean at the national circuit because I think he could be a top 4. I think he could be a top 4 competitor in that division. And so that, which we have talked about before, is what keeps him light. It's what keeps him athletic, is that he can do it all. He trains as a full martial artist. He can do the 360 jump split kicks and the fei longs and the different things, and he makes them look clean. So that athleticism is what keeps him wherever he wants to go. But I do think he's going to put on more.
But even with that, if people remember, because I mentioned his name, Alex Lane, he didn't really fight in his division. You remember, Alex fought light middle, but he was for real a lightweight, right? He went in. I remember watching him weigh in one time with shoes and a backpack.
Right.
And made his division. And the people were like, "Don't you want to take off your backpack or your shoes?" He's like, "Nah, I'm fine. I'll be where I need to be." Sure enough, guy weighs in at like 163 pounds, and I'm like, "What do you really weigh?" You know?
That's funny.
So yeah, but that's what I'm saying. Like, I think, and this is not supposed to be the Justice Floyd podcast, but it was just ended up. It was a thought that was in my head. You just mentioned his name. Right. I think his success level could increase exponentially because he's not going to be on the lighter side of the light or heavy, overall. There's no way he can get that light, right? So he's not getting down to welter. So just go for it.
Right.
Put on some weight. Do some squats.
So I think he does a lot of squats. But anyways, I think that one of the things though, but the difference between him and those two other fighters, I don't think he's there yet, but I think he has the potential to be a better blitzer. Okay, so I've seen him be that. What's funny is that I feel like as he moved up into adults, he pushed to be more of a kicker. And everyone says, the reason why they say they wish or he needs to use his hands more is because he has good hands. Not just because, he kicks too much. No, he has good hands. A lot of times in the junior divisions before, when he was doing that, he was blitzing all the time. He was a solid blitzer. So I think he has the potential to be more well-rounded on that part. So again, that was a lot of things and actually that kind of goes to what we're going to be talking about from good to great. And before we get into there, we're going to touch back on those lost arts of forms and fighting. It was really cool. We got a lot of great feedback last week about the show. Thank you for everyone that was watching the show. And a lot of people reached out to me about that. Asking me, okay, I heard about this and about intensity, and I want to know more. What do you think? How can I get better at this? What is it? You said that you thought we were doing good at this, but we could go to another level. Well, how can I get to another level? Right. And what's cool is that some of the people that reached out to me, it's not like what should have happened is more of the young guys reach out, right, and ask.
Right.
Or the ones that aren't at that level yet.
Right.
What makes, and this kind of goes into what we're talking about, what makes you go from good to great and from great to greatest or the best of all time is that those are the ones that reach out to you. So the ones that are already on stage competing and winning grands were the ones that reached out to me to ask, how can I get more intense? How can I do this? What do you think I should do at Diamonds? You know, like there's things like that were brought up because of our talks and the passion that I have for it and the passion that you have for it. They want to know our opinions, you know, and they want to know how they can get better. Right. So that's just a cool thing to see. So you guys in the comments that are listening, put in what maybe your favorite ones were that we talked about last week, the lost arts of forms and fighting. But
yeah, I think some of mine that I brought up, they're lost arts, but they're also ones that were like
obvious.
Just changed the culture.
The
culture just changed completely away from it. I'm not going to sit here focusing on that. Like one of the ones, like probably the main one I brought up was blocking. You know, when it comes to fight, like if you just try to say like, "Oh, I blocked it," like you can keep saying that and be right, but you will lose.
Right.
And you'll get spreaded. Right. So you can say like, I worked on my blocking. I literally blocked everything. Nothing touched me. But when they're still calling it a point, nothing you can do about it. Right.
Correct. So, I think that's where the active blocking needs to go in, right? Where it's a block that leads into a strike, but you're moving forward as you do it. Because again, most of the time they're going to give it to the person that is, the defensive fighter. And a lot of
that's what I'm talking about, homie.
Yeah. And it was kind of leading what I was just talking about. Like if you block while you're going forward, that is more of a thing where we'll see blocking be rewarded if you strike after, right? So it's that block and counter at the same time almost type thing, right? So it's because
I remember watching, I think it was Ronald Brady, because I was so used to fighting with Donald. I never got to fight with Ronald. I remember watching Ronald fight. I can't remember who it was. And he was in a fighting stance and he did something like he was angling, and then like he knew, he's like, oh crap, they're coming and I'm out of position. And he brings his rear hand up and just covers his face, just boom. And it was a back fist that they tried to hit him with, and he blocked it. And then we all looked at it like, oh, look how cool that block was. And then, but we were looking, I think we have more educated striking then, but I'm not gonna discount and say anything bad about today.
No.
I'm telling you, the speed of today,
and a lot of times the distance too. Actually, I think people understand that a little bit more.
Yes, that's the distance today. People understand is so much better.
Right, but I'd still think the art of understanding distance for kicking, there's few that that understand it, and again, like that's why I think someone like an Enrique Latona pisses people off, because he really understands it a lot of times, right? And he can hit.
He's not. If you watch like an Enrique Latona highlight video, which I don't know if they exist, but if you were to, that's not who you would be lining up against.
No,
right?
You do not.
You'd be lining up against something totally different, right? Because some of the things that make him so great is that it's his body sidekick. Number one, that's his best move. It's his body sidekick, his offensive, just sliding sidekick or standing sidekick to the body. Right. So I really think like how quickly he goes from floor to target is just it's so unbelievable. What's he saying?
Be a better judge. Don't make the call if it got blocked.
Well, so Beta, you're right on. And dude, thanks for the love for the shirt, right? Look at this throwback. Isn't it fantastic? Wing strike, homie. All right, but I think I think we're getting somewhere with it. You know, if Kappa really gets down and we have a couple fighters and we go, all right, take off, blitz him. And the one guy does that exact same thing. Boom, and blocks it. And you and all those judges that are there go, oh yeah, point here. There has to be up to somebody there to go, no, all of you are wrong. That should not be a point. Just because you all called it and you guys all agree doesn't mean that any one of you is right. So you guys doing that, you're literally changing the entire sport and the direction that it goes by making that call. By making that call, it doesn't just change the outcome of an event. It changes the way people prepare for the next one, and it literally changes training by you making a call like that. It will change everything.
Yeah.
Okay. I don't want to harp too much.
All right. So before we get into it, we're going to talk about how to go from good to great. But we're going to talk about 5 competitors who could have been great, right? And so, Alex, you're going to start. I'm just going to kind of play off of what you got.
You know,
it's really hard. Honestly, for me, it's really hard.
You know everybody.
With the forums guy. What did you say?
It's like, because you know everybody.
Because I know, well, yeah, that too. But go ahead.
So, well, one of the guys that I was thinking of, and here's what, they're not just fighters, okay?
Okay.
Because de facto on the show, I have to be like the fighting representative because you're the forums guy, right? So, but that's also putting you in a box to saying that that's just all you do, right? So I'm not just
I know. No, my history is the history and the things that I know. It's a lot more than just that. So, and I may even talk about some other, not just sport martial arts. I may even talk about just martial arts in general on this.
Well, that's what I'm talking about, homie. Bring it that direction. So one of the guys I'm going to mention is Vince Johnson. I think talent-wise, Vince Johnson, he should have had dozens of championships, right? And I think one of the performances from Vince Johnson that stands out so much is his Kama performance. He wear the Hakama, and he'd take his top off, right? And he'd do his whole performance. And one of the things that Vince Johnson's better at than, well, everyone, is he's so incredibly fast, right? He's crazy fast. So in that Kama performance that I'm mentioning, he doesn't really do any extreme tricks, right?
No.
But Vince Johnson could do it all. And I don't think I remember 3 guys faster than him. Like in speed.
When he really got to that point where it clicked for him, it was another level. So I met Vince Johnson actually on the NBL circuit in '98, and he was solid. He was actually a really good fighter then. And then like I've seen Vince Johnson hit people with aerials and side flips. Okay, like crazy stuff, right?
Right.
So Vince was someone who, what really like pushed him to get to that level was the years of like 2000 to 2002, where we had this crew of people in the NBL circuit and also that went to NASCA that just were driving each other to push each other to the limits, to not just do things hard, but to do things in a way that was not silly, but so intense that was going to get the crowd going wild, right? And we were all pushing each other. You know, that was when Intergalactic came out. That was when Daryl Lewis and his hands and you know, the punching down came out. That was when the headbutt came out. That was when things like
we'll call it punching down.
The ridge hand, you know, came out. You know, there was a lot of things like that. And Vince was a part of that. And he would do crazy things. Like he would be like biting in his form and stuff. Like it was just crazy things that we would just do to try to figure out, one up each other. and get our own flavor, right? And I feel like now people are just trying to say, "Oh, you did that, now I'm going to do that too," and instead of how am I going to one up you in my own way, right, and stand out. And I think what's cool, you are seeing that now with people like Ben Jones, Esteban, Dawson, and Rashad. Those four are really pushing each other and doing it their own way. They're not really mimicking each other at all. Their own styles and trying to do that. So
They are doing their own styles, and I really think Rashad might be the one. Rashad is the one leading that. Like when you could pick up like a toothpick and an action figure and make a weapons form out of that, like that's pretty impressive, right?
And here's the other thing about Vince Johnson. People don't know he was a Lee Pei-yun student. So he was a self-style student as well. Yeah. So this guy's overall, and he's a professional dancer. He's just an awesome martial artist. So yeah, Vince is one. Go ahead with some others.
I got another one from a very similar time frame.
Okay.
James Solis.
Yes.
James Solis. Give it back story on James Solis. So James Solis was one of the original Team Valera members, right? Which means he's Filipino. But he was. But anyway,
that's why I couldn't be on the team.
It was funny. Yeah. But no, it was only three guys. There was Rudy Renyon, there was Alan Sandoval, and James Solis, right?
And Aaron Macias.
Who?
Yeah, exactly. Aaron Macias. He had the nunchucks. He was on the team for about 5 events. He was an original Red Dragon student. He was awesome.
Oh, okay. That adds up. So I say James because James was, I think he was like a year or two older than Rudy, right? And Rudy had like the kind of the mystique because he was so young when we saw him first, and we're like, oh man, you see this kid? Talk about speed. Like, oh my gosh, this kid is something. Look at what he's doing. And he had a lot of amazing stuff, but James was just different. Before people were doing like 900s and 1080s, James would do like standing, just pop 900s with clean kicks. And I'm like, look at this, is different. He did a musical form where, and he's not the only one to have done this. His just sounded one of the coolest, where he would go up, he'd bow, he'd go to his position where he's representing the judges, and then his music would do his introduction for him, saying who he is and what he is.
That's an old NBL thing that got so played out.
Right, he's not the first one to do it, but just like look at.
Yeah. No, it was cool that he did that in NASCA because everyone was doing NBL, that everyone stopped doing it. Yeah.
Yeah, like, the only people really doing that in NASCA was like Guy Burkett, maybe.
I don't remember Guy doing it, but Mouse always did it. Mouse used to do it.
Yeah,
she did an NBL, but yeah.
So, but I just feel like, hey, you had a few more years here, man. Because I don't think I would not say anything's wrong with his performances. I love this performance. He would do jump double front kicks and would stick them. He wouldn't snap them. He'd stick them and hold it. Like, this is different. You're taking a move that everyone's doing. That was one of the things I liked about him the most, is he's taking a move that everyone's doing. He's adding a little twist that is different and cool and exciting. I think he should have placed higher than he did on a few things. And I really wished he would have been around just a little bit more.
Yeah. Carmichael has a good one with Lawaniga went from good to extraordinary when he actually left NASCA, which is crazy. But what he means is he went into the dance world and is now, one of the top choreographers in the world. That's another one too. Anyone from Loop Kicks, if they would have traveled to the East Coast more, that's a good one as well.
It's for real.
All right, who else you got?
Okay, I got one more because otherwise we'll go forever. So this one, he was damn good, but I think he could have been great. And that's Jason Facey.
Yes.
So Jason Facey
should be known as one of the best of all time, honestly. Like,
I really think so.
Yeah.
Jason
Like,
Facey
remember, guys,
reminds me of
Jason
Willie
Facey.
Hicks before Willie Hicks.
Yes. Well, remember when Jason Facey was finishing the junior division, it was that, okay, Jason Facey will be on Paul Mitchell
Yep.
and maybe Jason Borelli as well. But Jason Facey's the reason why we're not going to go with Jason
It's the end of
Tankston
99.
is because we're going to go with Jason Facey, right? And that ended up not happening because they found this guy that started doing NASCA who was killing everyone on NBL named Raymond Daniels that started showing up, right? So,
Yeah.
and it just changed everything. It was really different, right? But it would have worked. It would have made sense because it was the legacy, right? Boston Taekwondo. This guy was the top junior fighter, him and Thomas Wright on NASCA for the last 3 years, 15, 16, 17. Every year, those guys were the best. And so he had all the tools. And what's crazy too is that like he wasn't tall, but he was in shape.
No, I say he was probably like 5'8".
Yeah, but like he was a lightweight, but he didn't look like, and sometimes he was a super lightweight, right? But he looked like he was a tough, like he was jacked.
He was jacked.
Yeah, he was jacked, right? So it was weird to me that he stayed in those lighter weights when he moved up. I would have thought he would have been in the middle or whatever, right?
And he had the confidence. He did not shy away from like fighting Ray, right? Or fighting Jason or fighting Mike Pombero. He thought, I'm just as good as you guys. I can beat you guys. So if it's not today, just watch out because it's coming. I had a conversation with him. I've said this on the pod before.
Yeah.
I had a conversation with him. Raymond wins the US Open in 2000. And at that point, it's like you said, we were all just like, did anybody got an answer for this? Nobody had an answer for that, really. I mean, Johnny Tension was probably the closest thing to an answer who was in the building that day. I mean, nobody else had an answer, right? For Raymond Daniels. Jason Facey, he stuck in there like, I got the answer. I am the answer, right? That's the way he was fighting him.
Right.
And I remember watching this like, holy shit, this guy's making some noise.
Yeah.
And Ray would do that from time to time where Ray would, he'd do the dive bomb blitz. And he's so long that once he hits you and he goes through you. And then him just trying to stand up, like he basically just bodies and moves you. And now it's demasculating essentially, right? Because you basically got a grown man just like moving you with his body into the ground, right? So a couple of classes later, Ray goes to do it again. Jason times it perfectly, steps back, high side kick on the chest, hits him, and then turns back and then just brings his body right up to him as he was doing the same thing Ray did. And it was like basically him saying, like, I'm just as good as you, man. You're not any better. Right. So later on, after the tournament's done, Ray wins and he seeks me out. I don't know why. Right. We were in the same division. Right. Mm-hmm. He goes, hey man, you see my sidekick on Ray? I was like, well, yeah. And he goes, no. But did you see the one? And I'm like, yeah, man, I saw the one. I was like, man, you think you could have got him again? And he goes, I know I can get him. I know I can get him. I know I can beat him. And at that time, I did not have any answer for Ray. So I'm like, well, so that makes one of us, right?
Right.
So, but I didn't really see him very many events after that point. That was it.
So he was on the original people on Victory, which I think a lot of people didn't expect for him to go with them. He did a good amount. He did some NBL tournaments that year. And really after like 2001, I didn't see as much of him. And so it was really crazy because dude's just amazing. He was one of my favorite fighters to watch. So, and an awesome dude, a great person. So, all right. So we're talking about these
names, tons and tons of people, and we'll do this segment again. Guys, this is just the first time.
Yeah. Right. All right. So while we're on this, so what doesn't make it? How do you go from good to great? So what are some of those things that maybe they were missing? What were some of the things that maybe was a small thing that didn't, that held them back, right? So for one, I'm going to go back to what I just talked about our show last week and how people reached out to me. So
Well, here's why, and I want to say,
when you feel like you're getting called out,
yeah,
which could have gone that way, right? It could have gone that way where it was kind of like, hey, why are you talking bad? Why do you think there's something that I don't have?
That's like biblical conviction right there.
Right.
When you think God's word speaking directly to you and like he's calling you out, that's biblical conviction right there. That's the Holy Spirit calling you. Yeah, time for you to drop that drink, whatever it may be.
So you either run from that or you ignore it and you use that excuse. Oh, they don't know. They're just calling me out. They think I'm not good enough. Okay. But instead you go and you ask, you say, I know that's where I can get better at. Thank you for noticing that. Thank you for bringing it. And what is your opinion? What do you think? I don't have to agree with it or not, but you get that extra, opinion. It doesn't mean go after every division, ask every judge, why'd you give me this bad score? No, ask the other people, ask the other competitors around, but not just ask the ones that have been in this for years. Ask the ones who are the ones that you look up to, right? The ones you respect. Ask those
right
people.
There, Jeff, what you just said right there, that's part of my favorite part about doing this podcast all around, is because it sucks when you lose,
right?
Like big time, but it feels great knowing that all of your peers are like, dude, you had that, man. That should have been you, right? Like,
but they're not like, oh man, you should like that should have been you, and you need to get your butt in shape to make sure it is you next time.
Yeah, Brian Ruth hit me with one of those one time. Never had a conversation with the guy. I was fighting Joey Greenhaw, and the winner between us, we were going to go fight in the Rolex Challenge, right?
Right.
And I'm beating Joey, and I know I could tell when I lost. I was like, I was in the wrong position a few times. Like I thought I could do this, and I was wrong. And then Brian just unsolicited comes up to me and goes, "Hey man, you should have won that fight." And I was like, man. For real? And he goes, yeah, man, you should have won it. And he's being a little intense. He goes, yeah, but it's not like it was undeserved. Like you didn't, but you messed up, but you should have won. I was like, wow, man, that felt so cool because I'm no champion. Like in this scenario, Brian's great.
Right.
I'm good. Just like what we're talking about here. That's why I feel like for us talking about this segment is great. Jeff is great. I am good. So we could talk about going from good to great. So when you were mentioning this though, Jeff, I want to chime in and then let you take off. Okay. So when you were first mentioning like, hey, what are some of the things that we talk about, like from some of those guys, why didn't they get there? I think one common theme was longevity.
There we go. Yep. So, but longevity doesn't just come from like longevity. Longevity comes because you have a passion for it and you want to win and you want to improve yourself. You want to grow. You don't say, well, that was my run. That was it. Or, I just don't have the time to train for it. Well, then, okay, then you don't, which could be true. Then that means that you don't love enough to put the time into it. Right.
Exactly.
So it's not always that. It's like, oh, well, I want to other things. Okay. Then you love those.
And you said it.
Yeah. Then what this is, and that's fine, but for some people, this is what pushes them to grow. This is this is their creative outlet. And again, we are talking about forms and fighting.
Yep.
Still, guys, we are creating art when we are fighting. You're trying to figure out, how can I beat someone? Like, imagine, you may not think of this, but Johnny Tension is an artist. Okay.
Absolutely.
He creates art every time he gets on the mat, every time he is in the dojo, every time he is teaching. He's creating ways to beat someone with a reverse punch, with a blitz, right? He is creating 1,000 different ways to do this and make it his own way. And guess what? Now he's doing it and teaching people how to do it in full contact or other ways or with Thai boxing and stuff. So we have to really think about that. To go to that next level, you gotta just think differently, right? Motivated, but not just thinking all right, I want to get here. I want to win this, 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 and this, and then I'm done. I think when you do that, you're probably not going to have very much longevity, but also you're doing it for just the results, and you're limiting yourself to what could be even more, right? Because a lot of times when we just think of winning a certain thing, we're not really understanding that we're trying to actually grow to get beyond that thing, right? Do you understand where I'm going with this? Because again,
Absolutely.
I could say, guess what? I won the Irish Open the year that no one came, or I won this and that, but it was just my goal just to win. All right. And if you stop after that, then here's the deal. Okay, you won this, but did you really get yourself to the level that you wanted to be? No, you didn't. You wanted to be the champion that beat everyone, right? That's why you said you set the goal of winning that, because winning that meant beating everyone, right?
Yep.
So then what drives you after that is probably to do it again, to do this or that, right? I think there's got to be more than just a title. Because I know for me, when I think of, all right, I want to win this overall grand, when I think of that, it actually limits me more, because I put that pressure on myself to win something instead of myself to grow. Do you understand where I'm going from there?
Totally.
Okay, I'm just making sure. You look at me crazy sometimes. I don't know.
No, I'm letting you go with it. I'm doing a rare thing and not cutting you off.
Well,
yeah,
I don't know.
Insiders know that. They were like, "Why is Alex so awkwardly quiet?" Trying to be respectful for a change.
Well, I just feel like there is that, right? And I think that's what cuts some people off. It's just they don't have the passion to keep doing it, right? The other thing is, Mike, you have a great thing, and that's true. You are looking at that, no one remembers that. You're correct on that. But what I'm saying is that, are you still getting to your full potential? And I think that's what we want to do in life is get to where we want to be and where we're supposed to be, right? And so our full potential sometimes can stop because we got to something faster than maybe what we maybe should have, right? So
yeah. So I think
again, if I would have stopped as a junior winning 4 different world titles like I did as a junior, there wouldn't have been this Korean resurgence that's happening right now. There wouldn't have been an NBL, all the NBL records that I won. There wouldn't have been a Grand Slam Open Nationals, most likely, right? There wouldn't have been my school in a lot of ways. There wouldn't have been all the kicking things that I've been doing, the other stuff that's happening. So I don't know.
Well, I think if you were awarded this award, right, or win of some kind, and your peers look at it like, congratulations, that's got to sting, or maybe be a little bit of a realization that, like, maybe, I say it all the time, maybe the grand championship isn't so grand,
Right.
But I think praise amongst peers is a big, big deal, just really feeling like, hey, all these people have a consensus of like, that guy's the next big thing. He's the thing to really watch out for, and I think we have someone like that, and it's Tariq Sane. How we all say that, like, Tariq is like one of the most talented lightweights fighters that there is, maybe the most talented, and he's won some championships. We're not going to say like he hasn't. He's won some championships, but doesn't it feel like his talent level should say that there should be, like, I don't know, like 6 more, something like that. Yeah. Right. And there's no downside. I actually looking at it like a praise, as a, like, look, there's a way, like, having the praise amongst your peers is like, you are the guy. It just feels a little bit better. You know what I mean? So But going from good to great, because that's what this is about. Going from good to great, the longevity is one thing. And I realized that I was sacrificing the possibility of like, okay, I'm not going to be great. I in the moment, I will never forget the day. There was a day when I sacrificed a workout, and I'm one workout, and I knew in that moment, like, I might really be sacrificing never being great. And it was my decision. I was going to work out, and I think I'm like 2 weeks out in front of like it was like the US Open or Battle of Atlanta or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
This is probably 10 years ago. And my then girlfriend, maybe we were engaged at that point, Lindsay, right?
Mm-hmm.
My now wife. She's like, what? Because she didn't get it. Right now she would get it. And she was like, why do you have to go train right now? And I'm like, because this is when training is. She's like,
Right.
but then you're going to go fight later on tonight. I'm like, well, yeah. She goes, well, why do you have to go to the gym? And I'm like, because when I'm not, my competition is.
Right.
And she says, well, you could use that argument for every moment of the day. And I said, exactly. So if I have a moment to go work out and I intentionally just don't, why would I do that? And she got so disappointed. And she understood the lifestyle. Okay.
Right.
And I'm like, well, why are you asking? She goes, I just really wanted to just go to the coffee shop and just spend some time together all week. We really haven't been together.
Right.
And I said, well, I'm really sorry. I got to go. And I remember thinking about it and I'm like, where's my priority right now?
Right.
And I said, if I do this, like I'm understanding my priority is not being great.
Yeah.
And I remember, and I was in the parking lot of the gym. Now, the gym and I think it was a Starbucks. They were like 4 blocks away from each other, right? And she said she was going to go there. And I was like, I said, she's it. I don't think we were engaged yet, right? I had the ring. She didn't know, right? So I'm like, you know what? I'm just going to go there and this is what I'm doing. And I don't care. I'm throwing all my eggs are in that basket and we'll just salvage whatever we can over here.
Right.
That is literally a workout. It can do that for you mentally. Like people who always, it's just like on a drill.
Alex, you just made all of us look bad that like are still competing, trying to you made all of us look bad. Like,
no, I
see, you didn't choose your wife. You didn't choose her over the gym.
No. I'm just kidding. But see, how did that start though? That started because she didn't grow up understanding what martial arts was. She had basically been around seeing martial arts for like a couple of months. So she didn't really get it. You know what I mean? Yeah. She gets it. That's why I said, like, right now, and I was competing at that level right now, she would understand it.
Right.
But it was a little different though. So that's just kind of what it was.
True. One more thing I would say from the good to great is seeking out leadership, right? Seeking out coaches. Because a lot of us, once we get to, especially in the adult realm, we are doing this on our own. And you can do it on your own, but you need those mentors to help you, right? And either someone to put you through a workout, someone to create a workout for you, someone to coach you. Not mean you can't make up your forms on your own, or you can't do your own drills or stuff, but someone to guide you, right? I thought one of the coolest things was when Brian Young was trying to get his last couple years in when he was on Proper, and he went to Ray Wizard to be his coach, which Ray Wizard is one of the legends of all time, right? And he said, you know what? I'm going to someone from the past to help me develop my game into some things that I need to do, and just to push me through that grind. There's a lot of things like that I feel like people do, and that's what we need. You need that next step. You need someone else to keep you accountable. Because yes, you should. I know for me, I've always been a self-motivator, but I had to step away and say, you know what? For me to get to this next level, I need someone else to do that with me as well. And it's gonna, the teamwork is going to push me to the next level. So, all right, this has been a great one, man.
It really has. Because we could go on and on and on and on.
There's so
but you know
much
what? No, I'm going to say one more thing. It is the intensity and the intentionality of your workout. You could be working out all the time, and you see no results. It's because you intentionally did not plan for a result. But
good job. Oh, one more though. If you're not thinking about it, then like I've said this before too. If you're not watching YouTube videos, if you're not watching martial arts, then what are you really? Are you really into it? You know what I mean? Like football players watch film. Like you got to watch film. You got to watch things. You got to watch what you got to throw yourself into that. Like your life needs to have a good amount of that in it. It doesn't have to be your life, but it has to be a good portion of it if you want to go to that next level. So there we go.
That's what I'm talking about. Man, this was a great one. Good hanging, brother.
All right. So for those,
everybody has a great
next week. Are we not doing a show next week?
It's Labor Day. It's going to be Labor Day next week, guys. So have yourselves a great Labor Day weekend. I am going to have a incredibly packed Labor Day weekend. You got a big Labor Day weekend plan?
I have no, not really. But Labor Day, guess where I'm going? I'm going to watch my Clemson Tigers play at Duke football. So we're going to go there, the family.
Clemson Tigers are going to play Duke in football.
Yep. So
I'm pretty sure they're going to win like 144-7.
I hope so. So I'm excited for that. And yeah, it's going to be a good time. And then got lots of things coming up, training and fun and special events going on. So yeah.
I am packed with weddings this weekend. I got one on Friday. I'm going to Michigan on Saturday for one. And then I got another one in Highland Park on Sunday. So it's a lot, man. It's gonna be fun though. I won't be able to like open my eyes come Monday, but we're gonna have ourselves a great time.
Awesome.
Thank you for another Inside Scoop with Alex and Jeff. I'm Alex Dingman.
I'm Jeff Doss. See you guys in a couple weeks. Have a blessed one.